Hi and welcome to Simply Ballers 2024-2025 season previews. It's that time of the year where for the next 30 days I'll be releasing a season preview for each team. In each preview there will be a quick season and off-season recap. Then following that we'll be looking at what's in store for each team. We'll be looking at some of the key questions that they have, some of the positives, some of the negatives. It will be digging deeper in some of those areas. And at the end there are some final thoughts with prediction of the standings, their floor, their ceiling, some of the playoff chances, and some other fun predictions. So today we're going through the Charlotte Hornets, and the last two seasons for them has been quite rough. It was just 2 seasons ago where they were over 500, and it looked like they were on the right path when it comes to being somewhat competitive. They had a good young core, and it was looking like they were making steps in the right direction. That 43 win season in 2022 would actually be tied for the highest in the last 10 years, and it will also be tied for the highest in the 21st century. But then since then, it was just disappointment after disappointment, and these seasons haven't been good at all for them. The main thing has been with LaMelo Ball's health, where he's played only 58 games in 2 seasons combined, and that's the reason why they were only winning 21 games. In his last healthy season, they were plus 1.1 with him on, and that's a huge accomplishment for the team that they have. That with him they were positive, they were winning minutes for the first time since ages, because since then they were minus 6.5 and minus 10.7 without him. And even in these riddled seasons, he still had a huge impact on offense, with the Hornets offense dropping from 114.7 to 108.8. So their seasons literally depends on Ball's health, and so far that hasn't been looking good. That's why it's hard to make anything out of this season. It was Brandon Miller's rookie season, but again, it's hard to evaluate him if it's him just being a one-man show, him not being in a position where he could have a good players around him. Ball isn't a good offensive player. He does make his teammates better, so without him the team will struggle. There was Terry Rozier. He was having himself a good season with the Hornets as the lead ball handler. He got pushed into that position and it was doing okay. He was efficient. He had his career high in so many areas with the Hornets this year, but they suddenly moved on from him. They got a first round pick back. They got Kyle Lowry back, which they just waived, and that was it with the whole Terry Rozier era in Charlotte. They also moved on from PJ Washington. Both moves just came out of nowhere to me. They just embraced the tank even more. And with Rozier only playing 30, traded 30 games in, Ball only playing 22 seasons, this was the season. This was just the season of looking at Brandon Miller's rookie season. Their off-season was pretty straightforward. It's moves involving a bunch of guys getting waived, a bunch of guys just that are not moving the needle in any direction, whether it's helping the young guys, whether it's embracing the rebuild. They did draft Saloon, and that was it. They traded for Josh Green. Again, not many moves that either pushed them further into the rebuild, not many moves that got some more young assets into this whole core, nor did they just do anything to make the whole environment better. So what's in store for the Hornets? The first one, it's mostly about Ball coming back and being healthy, because how good they can be with Ball. He's already a good all-star level player. He clearly has an impact on the team's offense, and he's still a young player that's constantly improving. So how much better can the Hornets be with him? How much life can he make easier for everyone else? And that will lead to Miller's second-year jump. How much of a difference maker can he be if he's put in a better situation with better teammates? How would that duo look together? Can they also bounce back on defense as a team as a whole? Because they did have good stretches in previous years being much better on defense. There's also the addition of the rookie. There's the addition of Green. This should be a much better team than they were the past few seasons, especially if Ball is healthy and playing. Firstly, looking at Ball's impact, and it's clear that he makes the teams better. The year before he got drafted, the Hornets had a minus 4.3 offense below average. That improved to only minus 1.4 in his rookie season, and that jumped all the way to plus 2.1 in his second season. He has an impact on the offensive end. He's a good 3-point shooter. He's a great playmaker. He's a great passer as well. So he's automatically just going to make that team much better than what they were these last 2 seasons. It's just a matter of will he stay on the court and how much better can he be, because he still has a lot of issues on that court. Even with all the strengths he has, there are still issues with his rim finishing, his scoring, and the defensive end. When it comes to his 3-point shooting, he has improved since he started as a rookie. In that second season, he shot 39% on over 11 threes per 100 possession. That went up to 37% on over 14 threes, and that dipped to 35% on over 13 shots this year. The efficiency is a bit up and down, but it is an improvement. The thing that has remained the same is the volume. He's going to pull up from three every single time. He will take a lot of threes, and that should be one of the ways he can make an impact and open up everything else for him with that pull-up threat. Will he continue to be that efficient is a question for to see in the season. Because that 3-point threat is what will make him an elite offensive player. Because one thing he has already shown, and what has been consistent with him, is his passing. He has a 37% assist percentage for his career, and you can see all of these all of these passing metrics per beat ball index compared to on-ball players. It's A plus, A minus when it comes to the overall playmaking talent. He has the volume. He creates high quality shots. He gets a lot of easy shots passes at the rim from three. He's an elite passer, and that combine that with the 3-point shooting, that's where he can see a lot of the impact, similar to what Tyrese Halliburton also does. There are two main questions that we should be looking at in this season: is his improvement in the between area, in between area, in the mid range, and also the rim finishing. He shoots 54% at the rim for his career. He gets there at a decent rate with around quarter of his shots there, but he just can't convert regularly. What makes it worse is that he doesn't have that in between game. He doesn't have that counter to just take that paint shot, they take that floater regularly and consistently at a good rate. He's a poor shooter in the paint. He's a poor shooter in the mid-range. And you can't have just one shot in your arsenal. You can't be a inconsistent 3-point shooter at a high volume without getting to the line, without getting to the rim, and converting it. So those are the two questions that will determine how good of his ceiling can be. But even if he doesn't improve, the fact that he's going to be playing with all his passing, with his 3-point threat, that should be enough to make the team much better than they were. This brings us to the second player that should the season be all about, and that's Brandon Miller. It's his second season. He showed so much in his first season already, and he's going to be put in a much better position this time with LaMelo Ball alongside him. It's going to be a lot different for him if he has someone that can create easy shots for him instead of being the one that consistently looks to create. Because he averaged almost 20 points per 75 possession on 55% true shooting. On top of that, he is already shooting 37% on over 10 threes. He's a 6'9" wing and is making shots off the catch. He shot 38% on catch and shoot threes, and he's shooting 34% off the dribble. He's also shooting 47% on over 3 pull-up twos. So he already has a shooting touch at that size, and that's bringing another 3-point shooting threat alongside LaMelo. He already did well in limited sample size with LaMelo in only 361 minutes. His 2-point percentage went up from 49% without LaMelo to 54%. So we already saw that he can be more efficient. He can get easier looks with better players around him. But even on that note, Miller without Rozier or without LaMelo still did reasonably well, especially as a rookie, where he scored 22 points per 75 possession with 53% effective field goal and 56% true shooting with a 26% usage. That's pretty good considering without those two ball handlers, there was no one else that could do anything on offense that could make his life easier. And he still shot 51% from 2 with only 45% being assisted. So there's already evidence of him showcasing what he can do as a lead guy. A couple of things that we should be looking out for in this season, it's how he looks when it comes to rim finishing, his foul drawing and passing. He struggled with rim finishing. When it comes to his assists, he only had 11% assist percentage, and that goes along with his 10% turnover. Not a good way. That's not good enough for any kind of role, whether it's a lead ball handler or it's playing off the ball. You can't have that low of a pass or that high of a turnover rate. Something has to give, either be a better playmaker or limit those turnovers. So now the question will be, how will those two look together? Those are two big guys. LaMelo's over 6'6", 6'7", Miller's 6'9". Those are two guys that have size, that can shoot, and if they show more improvements with getting to the rim, finish out the rim, those are two very elite. That could be an elite duo offensively. When it comes to the team as a whole, one thing that we should be looking out for is the defense. Outside of this season, they ranked 20th, which is still not good for 3 straight seasons, but they dropped to 28th this year. There's a big difference between being around 20th, and they had stretches post All-Star break where they looked much better, and then being a third worst overall defense. That is a big difference. That can be the difference between making a play-in or not making a play-in. And a big part of that has been the opponent turnover percentage, where they ranked 5th and 6th in 2021 and 2022, but that dropped to 13th and 15th this year. There was no activity where they just forced turnovers, which could have just sparked the offense. Can that bounce back? Can they at least be near towards average defensively? And then with the addition of LaMelo and bringing that offense with him, they could be a good enough team on both ends to make something happen, to make that play in this year. There's also the addition of Josh Green, where I liked, whenever I watched the Mavericks, he's always doing something good. He was always just playing his role. I liked what I saw from Josh Green, and I think he should be a good addition to this, whether it's his defense or just playing the right role. Again, he's going to be in a situation where he doesn't have to create much for himself with Miller and LaMelo next to him. In the last 2 seasons of the Mavericks, he was given some improved 3-point shooting and efficient finishing. He had 64% true shooting in 2023. That did dip to 59% this year. But again, that's still one of the better players on this team, and that should make life easier, just giving LaMelo and Miller reliable, consistent wings that could do their job. Finally, there is Saloon, who's another 6'9" wing that looks at the moment to be a project. Whenever I just look at some of the draft talk, there's a lot of potential talk with him. It's rather that it's not what he can provide now. It's not what he can have, how he can impact right now on this team. It's a lot just banking on potential, banking on that swing. That's going to be this team then. The Hornets season right now is going to be a lot of question marks, a lot of experimentation, just exploring to see what they have with Miller, with LaMelo, with Saloon, and anyone else on their team. It's hoping that they can swing right on some of these players. It's hoping that they will turn out well. They already have Ball locked in on his contract. It's now Miller looking to prove that to prove what he is. It's looking for other young players that can round out the team. So some predictions. I'm seeing them 32 to 37 wins. Their floor, which is their worst case scenario, is missing the plane but still being close. But that's more to do with just the teams around them just being worse. Their ceiling, it's comfortably being in the plane for the entire season. They will be in that 10th range, 10th, 9th, where they will just be battling with the Hawks, the Pistons. But then their ceiling is just a plane right now. Despite Ball's comeback and potentially improvement from Miller, I don't know how high I can be on them. There's just a lot of work that's needed for them to just take another jump. This will be Ball's first season without another ball handler. The last few seasons, he always had Rozier to be next to him, and wherever Rozier was, wherever his flaws were, that's still a reliable NBA starter next to him every single time. And in their four seasons together, the Hornets with Ball but no Rozier were minus 2.2 with a 112.5 offensive rating. Ball in those minutes averaged 23 points per 75 on 49% effective field goal and 53% true shooting. Add Rozier, they were minus 3.1, they were worse, but with a 115.5 offensive rating. So they were better offensively with 2 of them on, and Ball averaged 21 points on 53% effective field goal with 56% true shooting. So having Rozier did make his life more easier and more efficient. And I wonder what this season is going to look like with him just taking the responsibility as the clear best player and the only reliable ball handler. When it comes to everyone else, I think we can already pencil in Miller's improvement. Just by the sole reason that he's heading into second year, he will see improvements. It's more likely that there's a jump from a high pick this year. It's like he's a first round pick. He's a high pick as well. He's going to improve. How much improvement that is going to be, it's going to just depend on him. And even with that, I don't think I can expect a big change. Even with LaMelo just being himself and better, even with Miller taking a step forward, I don't think this team is good enough to make any noise or to even make the playoff through the play-in. Overall, I don't expect much change for the Hornets. They will improve their win total simply by having ball back, but that's where it just ends with them. It's again focusing on all of the young players. It's focusing on the development and looking for potential.